Hey, welcome back to Spring Into Math 5. This is Mr. Stein here with you again. And today we're going to build on line plots and we're going to add fractions. Okay, so line plots with fractions. So reading and creating a line plot with fractions is similar to a line plot with whole numbers. So here's one with fractions. So you can see here we have trail mix in bags, and you can see it's labeled in pounds, so it's giving us some more information. And you can see here that it goes from 0 to 1. Now it's kind of ironic that you would use 0 when you talk about pounds of something, because why would anyone purchase a trail mix bag with nothing in it? But regardless, you have it from 0 to 1, and really that's because they're trying to establish the idea of fractions on a number line so that you have all the way from 0 up to 1, so you have those fractions in between 0 and 1. And so you can see here, based on our line plot, we have 3 bags that are a 1/4 pound, 2 bags that are a 1/2 pound, and 2 bags that are 3/4 pound. Okay. The line plot shows the different amounts of bag trail mix that Sam bought at Vons. So how many pounds of trail mix did Sam buy? Because that's really what we're doing when we're talking about fractions using line plots, is that we're going to use that information. So this is kind of where we're going to bring back in that idea of fractions. So we can see that Sam bought 3 1/4 pound bags, 2 1/2 pound bags, and 2 3/4 pound bags. All right, so all we're really going to have to do on this is add them together. So first we need to make sure they all have the same denominator so that we can add them. So kind of bringing back the idea of fractions. I know it's been a little bit of time, but remember, everything when you're adding fractions, they have to have the common denominator. They have to have the same denominator, because remember, you add the numerator and the bottom number stays the same. Well, it can't stay the same if they're not the same. So we have 1/4 and 3/4. They have 4 as the denominator, so we need to make half have the denominator of 4. So in this instance, the fractions are pretty simple. Hopefully you have a pretty good sense of equivalent fractions. You're thinking, well, half, if I need to make it a 1/4, 2/4 is the same as a 1/2. So that would be my equivalent fraction that I can use to represent a 1/2. Okay, so now we basically just put our fractions down and we're going to add them. And you can see I just put them in a nice long line because they're pretty simple numbers, especially with the bottom number not changing. So you can see here I have my 3 1/4 pound bags. I have my 2 1/2 pound bags. And this is labeled as 2/4 because we wanted to have equivalent fractions with the same denominator. And then we have my 2 3/4 pound bag. So basically we're just adding across. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5, plus 2 is 7, and then we have the 2 3's make 6, and 7 and 6, we have 13. So we have 13/4. So now let's change it into a mixed number to give us a better sense of how many pounds we have. Okay, so we have 13/4, and if you remember, you divide the numerator by the denominator. So 13 divided by 4 gives you 3 with a remainder of 1. Okay, so your whole number 3, your big number 3 is your whole number. So you have 3 pounds, and then your remainder is your numerator, and the bottom number stays the same, the denominator stays the same. So you have 3 1/4. So you have 3 1/4 pounds of trail mix. Now, another way to do something when it's simple fractions like this is you can kind of use your estimation skills of reasonableness. So if we go back and we kind of look at it, and I say, well, I know that if I have 2 1/2 pound bags, that's 1. So I can kind of record it like this. I have 1 there. If I have a 3/4 pound bag plus 1 of the 4ths, that would give me another 1. Okay, so if I'm kind of checking them off as I go, it's a little small, I can get rid of those 2 1/2s. I can get rid of 1 of the 3/4, and then I can get rid of the other 4th. That's a little bit closer. There we go. So then if I do that again, I take my other 3/4 of a pound, plus 1/4 of a pound, I know I have another pound. So now I basically have my 3 pounds and I have 1/4 left over. So another way to use it. So guys, when you're working tonight with your line plots with fractions, take your time. These aren't skills that are too hard. You just are blending two things together. So use your knowledge of how to look and read line plots, and then mix in the idea that you can add and subtract and relate fractions. So really think about that. Make sure you keep a common denominator when you add and subtract fractions. See you next time.